I'm sorry, Kosu. What? All for One versus who? What's up, guys? That guy with a reaction here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. Another fun fact, this video is a little bit of a thicky boy. You may be like, reaction? What do you mean? This thing's only 24 minutes and 9 seconds long. For me, that's long. I'm going to try to only double it. We will probably not just be doubling. But with that being the case, since it's pretty long and I like to yap, please check out the link to Kosu's channel in the description down below, along with a link to the original video if you want to watch it without my uninterrupted yapping. Or without my yapping, making it uninterrupted rather than me consistently interrupting it with my yapping. But we're here to break down All for One versus Shinjuku is a massacre. A massacre. A massacre. It's over. It's right. The second I saw this thumbnizzly, wait. Mainly because the thumbnizzly did not include Gojo or Sukuna. And here's the thing, right? All for One has a spatial manipulation quirk. And unfortunately, as good as Infinity is, if you have spatial manip, it's raps with Chael Champ. And Sukuna isn't even that much of a factor. I'll be even with Domain, it's not much of a factor. Mainly because I think Cleave has a limit. I know that's a little bit crazy for some to hear me say, but I think Cleave has a limit. And I think that limit is way lower than what All for One has to offer. But of course, let me slide these back on my dome piece and talk about why I think ultimately All for One versus all of Shinjuku, even if you were to include Gojo and Sukuna, but clearly based on the thumbnail, I don't think he is, would be really, really bad. So, for reference, here, let me see. What's a good, simple, clean example? Here it is. This right here. You see this? It's a nice little mini sword from AOT. I forget what it's called, but this look at this sword. Look at how big it is, right? Like look at how big it is in my hand, right? Look, I can hold it entirely in one hand. I can wiggle about. This is the entire JJK universe, right? With its scaling and everything wrapped up, all its hacks. It's juicy. It's beautiful, right? Right. Look, there's even secret hacks stored inside, right? You pull out the sword. It's really, really nice. It's really, really neat. Here, let me show you All for One in comparison to this nice little pretty JJK universe. This is the KH3 ultimate weapon. I'd go grab the Buster Sword I have, but then I think it would just be too heavy, and I couldn't even properly wield it in one hand. I'm barely wielding this thing in one hand. Well, actually not barely. It's a lot lighter than it was before. I've been getting game, but still. And just for comparison, just in case you forgot that quick, what the JJK verse as a whole, because this is All for One. This is All for One. Really, it's the ABHA verse, but in this comparison, it's All for One. Here's the AOT sword. Do you see how the AOT sword isn't even bigger than the hilt? The place where I hold the ultimate weapon? Not to talk about the rest of it. Yeah. That's the power disparity. And like, that's insane. There's no way it's that there for Shinjuku specifically, right? Unless I'm getting on my knees and getting freaky with with the god tiers of JJK, and specifically just the god tier. I'm talking like, we're giving Sukuna light speed, we're giving Gojo light speed by proxy, and then we're saying they're able to blitz light speed because Sukuna's able to talk fast light speed and get a whole attack off, so the whole blitz above light speed, this, that, and the third, and Sukuna's planetary, and this, that, and third. Well, then again, okay, if I'm going that far, that is a lot. But still, MHA, with its top tiers, has like them country to multi-continental levels of power. You could convince somebody after a lot of effort to get Gojo and Sukuna exclusively to country level. Everybody else, you know the Shinjuku raid crew, that's not happening. But you'd be like, oh well, that's just power, right? We have some like Duraneg. Maki's there. She has SSK. And All for One shouldn't be able to defend his soul of Sukuna. Not only is All for One way stronger and actually does probably have like the same multi-soul perception because of how All for One works. But the speed gap is also ginormous. Because once again, no one in Shinjuku actually scales to Gojo or Sukuna. So even if I were to suck Sukuna and Gojo's toes so hard the skin came off, talking how deeply I'm shocked in order to glaze him. Maki wouldn't scale to that. Yuta wouldn't scale to that. Hikari wouldn't scale to that. Yuji wouldn't scale. None of them would scale to it. The best. If I'm feeling a little bit, if I'm taking a bit off the top, if I'm have my chicken parmesan and I'm glazing some parmesan cheese on top of it, I'll give you lightning timers. And that's being kind of generous, being completely honest with you. Because I don't really think that a Hikari lightning feat counts. The one other anime lightning feat is I told you in the anime, which is debatable. And the one feat we get in the manga is in a redraw exclusively of a volume. And even then, you could argue that ain't even real or clouded ground lightning. So, I'll be generous. Let's say everybody's as fast as Maki. They aren't, but let's say they are. That's a whole bunch of lightning timers up against, and I must emphasize this, a low-end relativistic character. I'm talking low-end relativistic. He literally punches through all of them, and they all die in one hit. No domains are popping off. No curse techniques are popping off. No swords are being... So everyone instantly dies. Y'all remember that massive light beam he used to one-shot Tokoyami? That literally wipes out the entire Shinjuku Raid crew in one hit. Those are my thoughts. I think All For One absolutely violates Shinjuku Raid crew. Throw Gojo and Sukuna in there. Everyone dies except for Gojo because of Infinity, and then All For One uses the spatial warp quirk after figuring out Infinity. It's over. That's it. It's wraps. So yeah. It's really, really bad. But I'm very interested to see what Kosu has to say about this matchup and the scaling of it all, because I think it's a massacre. But let's not waste more time. Let's hop right into the video itself.
With All For One's defeat in the anime finally be...
Okay. I know I'm like frame 2 starting some glaze. And I need y'all to hear me out. Kosu has like the coolest voice, dog. With All For One starting to frame me the anime. I can almost place where his accent. Like I hear his accent and I think I know where it's from. But I'm not like 100% certain. But like he is like this deep rumble, this rasp. It's just he's going with the sauce. He goes with the sauce. Let's see.
Being broadcasted, it has many people thinking about what other verses could take him down, or if he could prevail in those situations. And the most brought up verse is the Jujutsu Kaisen verse. So in this video, I'm going to...
The sound just cut. In my head, the sound cut out for a second there. I was like, wait, is something wrong? But no, we're good. Let's see.
Be taking me into the Shinjuku showdown to see if he'd win against the Shinjuku squad. So...
It's just the Shinjuku. It's over! It's all ogre now. It's all ogre. What do you mean, just the Shinjuku squad? You need to throw the whole verse. You need to throw Takaba. You need to throw everybody at All For One for them to stand a dream of a chance. Because at least Takaba's reality orb, but even then, that probably has limits. No, well, maybe Takaba's included in the Shinjuku crew. Maybe. We'll see. But even then, Takaba could possibly still lose. All For One's very, very sadistic. Let's see.
Strap in, because I'm about to get real in depth with this video.
Alright.
But before I do get into the video, if you guys do enjoy content like this, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe. As I do post content like this regularly, and to be honest, it's a win-win. You guys show me love and support, and you get back to the form of videos. Whether it's My Hero, Jujutsu Kaisen, or just fiction in general, in due time I'm uncovering it, so be there when I go there. But I feel like I've rambled on long enough, so why don't we find out if All For One could take down the Shinjuku squad.
How easily, peep the beard. Oh man, it's looking a little patchy though. Is it patchy on both sides? Hold on. I can't see. I get like my eyes don't turn that far. Hold on. Regardless. But how easily he takes them down. Like it's not really close. I'm shocked this video was in 10 minutes, dog. Let's see.
Now before we get into the video, I'm gonna have to go over the rules. And the first rule is that the entire Shinjuku showdown squad will be here. That means Gojo and all. So yes, this is a real...
it's so okay. I mean, it doesn't get bad. Once again, All For One does have a spatial manipulation quirk, and unfortunately, Infinity does seem to fold spatial net or spatial interaction. So like that's not. I mean, but like, But once again, I was talking about sucking Gojo and Sukuna's toes off to get him the light speed. And I didn't really go into it, but All For One, like I said, low-end relativistic character. You can definitely argue the character even gets up to, like, the FDL. And sometimes, depending on, like, how you interpret certain things, like, massively FDL, depending on how you scale. Like, essentially, where do you think Lightspeed MHA kicks in? Where do you think relativistic MHA kicks in? Because I've seen multiple points for it. There's as early as Aoyama, who fires a laser, and like I believe in external materials, it's just described as light. It's a beam of light. But there are arguments against that. Like the laser clearly has mass. Like this doesn't work that way. But then like there's that. That's the earliest point. And then characters get really stronger, way faster. Like then there's that. Then there's like the midpoint. What is the MHA midpoint? I'm forgetting because like it's Aoyama at the earliest. And I'm thinking of Stars and Stripes at the latest, where you get like that relativistic radio wave, light beams, lasers. I forget, but there's another light speed point in like the middle of MHA where like you can argue from there, as like okay, here the characters also like having light speed stuff, but like the only way you get JJK to light speed, even Gojo and Sukuna, is if you take a charitable interpretation of 1 feet. Admittedly, a very good, faster than light feat, but 1 feet. So like, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. But even with Gojo, like maybe a UV diff, maybe, but like even then, All for One should just be so much faster. He wouldn't be able to one-shot Gojo though, not without immediately resorting to the space quirk. It's like everyone's gonna die instantly, and then it's just gonna be Gojo versus All for One, and then Gojo has to UV immediately. All for One doesn't have danger. Like, that's their only win con. Gojo has to UV All for One and purple him infinitely. Like, he can't just try to rip him off. He wouldn't be able to tear All for One apart physically. All for One's too bulky. Like, with Gojo there, everyone else needs to die, basically, immediately. And then Gojo needs to UV him the second that happens. I do mean the second, because if he waits a second longer, All for One's going to see that Gojo survived, and then he's going to spatial quirk him. At least I assume. I believe he has a spatial. I've seen that panel. I forget what it's called, though. I'm not sure if he uses it in Modern, but still. Like, that's it. But interesting. Gojo's here. All right. So maybe that's why the video is longer. Essentially, this is All for One versus Gojo and the extras. Let's see.
Real battle to take down All for One. The second rule is that the squad will have the exact same information that the My Hero cast did.
Wait, but does that mean All for One also gets it?
And they'll have a month to prepare for the battle, just like they did in canon. But All for One will also have a month to prepare, and he'll have the exact same information Sukuna did going into the battle. Okay,
so that's it. There's still a loss because Gojo gets spatial quirked immediately. If All for One had a month of prep time, then he's gonna immediately resort to the spatial quirk on Gojo because he's gonna know about Infinity. Gojo he has to round start domain. He has to sneak round start domain. That's it. That's if not that, they all die. Like he will just spatial quirk all of them. But let's see. This is not sounding good. Let's see.
So it will be all equal information being spread across the board. And yeah, it's going to be information at the start of each final battle.
Okay.
The third rule is that both sides will be from the end of their own battles. That means that Gojo will be reanimated after he was killed by Sukuna.
Oh.
The rest of them will be just thrown into another Shinjuku showdown after they've just done one, and All for One will be revived back to the state he was at the start of the final war.
Okay.
But don't get it twisted. The information that they got throughout the battles, well, the My Hero squad and Sukuna got throughout the battles, they will not cross over, only be from the start. I just want to make that clear. So their bodies and the curse techniques they may have learned or gained or whatnot, yeah, they keep that. But the knowledge that the person fighting them got throughout the battle will not be there. I just want to point that out so nobody gets confused. The fourth,
he has unironically made it more confusing. I don't get it. So like they're back from the end of the battle, but they have what they gained. It's like I don't get that. That explanation is a little wibbly wobbly. I don't get that. They'll have the powers they gain throughout the respective battles. They just won't have the information that they gain for the battle. I mean, it doesn't matter because they're fighting like two different opponents. But like All for One didn't actually learn that much. He didn't really get much. So it's just they're essentially. I'll just think of it. They have the powers and abilities in body from the end of the fight, but whatever information they actually learn through the fight doesn't click. I mean, that once again, it doesn't matter too much. If you remove the month of prep time, maybe Gojo gets a sneaky domain win. But with a month of prep time and All for One knowing about Gojo's domain, knowing about Infinity, knowing all that, he's gonna immediately diff Gojo, and then everyone else dies. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't go any way but that. Let's see.
Rule is that the battle will obviously take place in Shinjuku.
Right.
And the fifth and final rule, and I'm pretty sure you guys already know this, but if at least one person lives from the showdown side, they win. But if all of them dies and All For One is the last one standing, then yeah, he wins. And the reason I only have it for the combatants is because what in God's name is Utahime going to do? Hit a black flash on him?
Yes, Utahime, the secret strongest character in the verse, and Gakugaji. Don't sleep. The question is Takaba here? Is Takaba here? I'm interested to see how, if Takaba's here, I'm interested how he's tackle Takaba. Because Takaba and Gojo are like the only ones that make it even somewhat possible. But with a month of prep time, like, he wouldn't know about Takaba. That's the thing. He wouldn't know about Takaba. And then assuming Takaba's taken from the end of his fight with Kenjaku, Takaba would possibly better understand himself and probably be willing to risk it. But still, we know Takaba can lose to, like, being happy. So, like, I'm not sure if All For One will be able to do it. We'll see. What gets mentioned, what doesn't. But Gojo being there is a big boon, but it may not, it's not, the boon is immediately negated by the fact that All For One knows that Gojo's there, and he presumably still has a space quirk. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't know about that. And so, that is the end of the rules section, so why don't we jump straight into the scaling. Now to begin, we have the Jujutsu Kaisen section. And to start off this section, we have the AP. And JJK's AP scaling can vary, as in the raid we have several people who will be fighting with so many different abilities. So I'm going to keep it simple and keep it down to the main combatants. And due to them being around Jogo's level in terms of AP, a lot of them will have large town level in terms of AP, and they can even get a little bit higher than that, as some of them could be argued to be stronger than him, getting as far up as small city level. Now for somebody like
okay, so that we're going with that. So we're going with the base Jogo calc. We are not taking into account the calc that comes from the data book statement. That's fine. I once again, I don't think it matters, even if you do the Jogo calc from the data book statement, depending on where he scales All For One. I'm interested to see where he's going to scale Gojo. Let's see.
Gojo, he will definitely be at city level, and probably city level plus. I wouldn't say mountain level, but yes, Gojo will be at city level confirmed.
Okay. Alright. Not enough. They couldn't even damage All For One then. So, any of our traditional, like, I punch you, I kick you, or I slash you fighters that's not named Maki is doing no damage. Even Gojo with blue punches and red, like, with Gojo being at city level, purple wouldn't even tickle All For One. It has to be hacks exclusively. And it literally, like, the only way they win now, with him establishing where everyone scales, the only way they win, All For One needs to be an idiot. And to be fair, All For One is very stupid. So, like, it could be the case. All For One, the only win con they have, All For One needs to be dumb enough to just stand there for a little bit. Gojo needs to instantly teleport behind him and UV him. And then Gojo can't even kill him at that point. All For One's base durability is so far above a city level that even unlimited hollow to All For One's face wouldn't do anything. Maki needs to come in and, like, stab him in the brain multiple times. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Because she has the Duran Egg. And while All For One definitely has multiple souls inside of him, having multiple souls doesn't immediately make you immune to SSK's Duran Egg. Look at Sukuna. So, like, that's their only win con. Other than that, I'm sorry, a whole bunch of, you can make them all city level. Heck, you can make them all country level. And I still think they'd be able to tickle All For One. But they definitely can't tickle them when they're at large town to city level. Like, once again, the lowest, even, especially with Gojo, their peak being established at city level, you could go to the lowest end and put All For One at, like, mountain level, and they still wouldn't be able to tickle him. At all. With any of their attacks. All at once. That's how bad the power gap is. And once again, speed-wise, I doubt Kosu's going above lightning. So, once again, they all get blitzed in one tap. Let's see.
He'll easily be there, as Gojo is far stronger than them, and he was matching against Sukuna, who was doing crazy things. On next is their speed, and them being massively hypersonic is justifiable, as Maki does react to lightning, so does Akari. I mean, a bunch of people either use lightning or react to lightning, or just have feats that just put them at that level. I mean, I don't think that, I know a lot of people can have a bit of pushback on it, but I do address that in my Infinity Castle and show.
I'll have to do that one as well. That one's more interesting, especially with the JK versus being single. Now I'm interested in where Kosu scales Demon Slayer. That may react to them next. I don't know. So far I've recorded 2 reaction videos today, so I'll see if I have time for another. But that could be another banger. Maybe. I'm actually interested in that one. I'll be interested. But MHS, massively hypersonic, JJK, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. There are arguments against it, and I don't blame people for having arguments against it. But I can see the vision. I can see the vision. I can see the vision. We can rock with that. We can rock with that. My toes are curling. They're curling a little bit. Let's see.
Go down squad video. I'm not gonna reiterate those points. If you wanna go hear it, then go watch that video. But yeah, for the most part, most of them will be massively hypersonic plus. But Gojo and Kashimo will probably be placed a little bit higher, and that's mainly due to Kashimo's curse technique and Sukuna reacting to it very easily, and Gojo being stronger than that Sukuna.
Fresh Gojo probably is stronger than brain damaged, even true form. I'll give it. This isn't the place to argue about that. I don't know what he means fully. I'll let it slide, Kosu. I'll let it slide. But I may know what you are, Kosu. I may know what you are. We'll take. But I guess he's giving him light. Or at least relativistic. Still not enough, though. Still not enough. If you're city level, still not enough. But let's see.
So yeah, I'd say around FTL to FTL plus for both Kashimo.
I mean, like, it depends on how you calc this feat right here. The feat that's on screen, like, this, like, I've seen a couple, well, then again, I've never seen it, like, up to FTL+, but I've seen it up to FTL, like, Sukuna speaking faster and launching out the dismantle before the electromagnetic wave can reach him. Like, that is actually a very impressive feat, but, interesting. Once again, he's trying to make it at least somewhat fair, but still, if we're, the ultimate unfortunate thing is, if he's granting this, right? Like, notably, especially when I do reaction videos, or I really when I'm watching anybody's videos, but now I'm doing a lot more reaction videos consistently. Especially for versus battles, naturally. I think of what's being granted and what isn't. Because the beautiful thing about reaction videos, especially covering the same series, is that there are a bunch of different interpretations for a bunch of different characters in the same universe. I literally just finished reacting to a video where JJK was put at city block level. And FTS, or faster than sound. That's it. like that's it. Well, now we have someone arguing for city level and FTL. It's fine, but in the same way that I could tell by how the other person was like, okay, so if you're putting JJK that low, then the other verse has to be at this point for it to be comparison. And same case for here. If he's granting city level, and city level, I feel like it's not so much of a granting thing. That's more like, okay, we can agree with city level. That's like a commonly agreed point. But if we're granting FTL Gojo, we're gonna get MFTL all for one, aren't we? We're gonna get some Aoyama uses, and no, once again, I'm not complaining. Do what you do. It's all up to how you want to interpret it. But we're gonna get some MFTL AFO, aren't we? We ain't going with that relativistic nonsense. We up there. We up there. That's what I'm smelling. I'm smelling MFTL, possible MFTL plus AFO, based on some either Aoyama laser stuff. That midpoint in MHA, I'm forgetting. There is some light feet in midpoint JJK, but like, or midpoint MHA. There is one. I just can't remember. And then, or we're upscaling from Stars and Stripes and Sugar Rock, where we got something fancy coming here. I can smell it. I can feel it in my bones. We get an MFTL all for one. At a bare minimum. And if we're lowball, we're getting FTL. So him and Gojo can be relative, but everyone is such a massive power disparity that the relativity don't matter. And obviously, if everyone else is sitting here at MHS plus versus one Lightspeed character, him and Gojo are going to be fighting infinitely faster than everybody else. And then everyone else is going to die accidentally. So, I know what you're doing, At least I think. We'll see.
And Gojo should be fine. Up next is their durability. And for their durability, I'm going to place them at around what their AP is. Yeah. As they are noted to solidify the defenses, and they can take attacks from the likes of Sukuna, which is very impressive.
Admittedly, once again, I get it though. We're doing like a whole verse, so when you scale, or at least a fat chunk of a verse. When you're scaling a fat chunk of a verse, you gotta skip over context. But like, they're taking heavy damage from a Giga Nerf Sukuna, who's fueling cursed energy into a barrier defense technique, who's also disinterested in them partially, meaning his cursed energy waves are low after he's brain damaged and been nerfed by Yuji. So like, there's a lot of context, but We're fine with that. AP equal Dura. That's normal. So we can let it slide. We can let it slide. I'ma let it slide. I haven't watched a Berlizzi video in years, though. Let's see.
Now, although that is very impressive, Gojo actually does take the full brunt of Sukuna's blows.
Yeah.
A full power Sukuna. Well, a full power Megami Sukuna. While the rest of them do take more weaker punches and obviously attacks from Sukuna, they do survive. And yeah, Gojo does take basically everything aside from the World Kind Slash, something that was meant to take him out. So yeah, their durability can range from large town level all the way up to city level. But moving on, we have their endurance. And these guys have great endurance as they are able to fight Sukuna, who is constantly slashing them and giving them life-ending blows to which they just regenerate from. Their stamina and health is mainly tied to their cursed energy, and while some of them do have infinite, some of them don't, but they can all take a hit, a great hit out, and essentially they do need to be killed or knocked out to just sit down. Now Gojo, on the other hand,
that is true. That is true. Their endurance is fine, but it doesn't matter when their whole bodies are going to be atomized in one hit. That's the only issue. Gojo, though, doesn't matter if his whole body gets, like, chunked. Unfortunately, Gojo can die to being cut in half. If you take out Gojo's entire stomach, or, like, take off his head with a special manipulation quirk, he's fried. So, like, but he's probably going to give Gojo extra glaze for the MS tanking, which is valid, but unfortunately, I still think All For One is too much. He's too much. He's too much. But let's see. Let's see.
His stamina doesn't matter. All that really matters for Gojo is just him dying, as he has his 6 eyes, so he can technically just fight for ever.
Oh, language. And technically, he does have, like, a stamina limit. We see him get tired, like, he's breathing heavy after taking out all the curses, post-curse technique burnout, and his output does lower from healing. Gojo has, like, infinite stamina if he's fighting freely, right? If he's not being taxed. But if he's being taxed, he can run out of energy. He still has, like, a human body. He has like, an infinite mana meter. He doesn't actually have infinite stamina. I think that is an important distinction, right? Well, like, what's a good example? Like, Lancelot from Four Knights of the Apocalypse. He has an infinite mana meter. He can still get tired, though. He still needs rest, despite literally having literal infinite mana stored inside of him. Same thing for Gojo. Except, obviously, Gojo's is efficiency-based, meaning he even still could hypothetically run out. It's just that, stamina-wise, he never would run out, as long as he's not being overly taxed. But it's clear from what Sukuna himself even mentions, and what we see in the Gojo vs. Sukuna fight. Gojo can be tired, he can be overwhelmed, he can still lose stamina. He's not always at 100%, but that's it.
Then we have their battle IQ. And these guys are extremely great strategists.
Doesn't matter.
As they can think of things on the fly. But on top of that, they did think of a way to take out Sukuna and had many plans that they were able to come up with in a month's time. Now, even though all of them are great, Yuta, Yuji, all of them, great strategists, the one that you do need to look at the most is Gojo. Because Gojo is a prodigy in this aspect, and he can adapt on the fly and make plans on the fly, as we saw against Sukuna. Now, the only reason being that it didn't really amount to much is because it's Sukuna, the king of battle IQ inside of Jujutsu Kaisen, but Gojo is a very, very close second, so he is definitely somebody you do not want to sleep on. Finally,
unfortunately, though, I still don't think it matters. Bring me the world's smartest man. Raise him to the limits of human strength. Make him as strong as all the world's strongest men combined. Give him the speed of Usain Bolt, and throw him against a raging elephant. Tell me if that man wins. Give me 20 of the world's strongest men. Put them up against a raging African bull elephant. They still lose. 100 men, they could probably take down Noah. But like 200 men. But like, even 20. And there aren't 20 people here, but even 20. And once again, I'm really lowballing it. Let's be honest. Take 20 of the world's strongest and smartest men. Put them up against a Stegosaurus. Against a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Put up against, what is it? You could put them against Megalodon. But like, that's water, so that's unfair. Put him up against, what's that thing called? A Brachiosaurus? The biggest land creature. Like, put him up against that. Look at how much their intelligence and their strength matters then. It won't. Because the gap is just that fat. But let's see.
We have their hacks. And bro, just like in my previous video where I covered the Shinjuku squad, as I said there's like 30 characters here, so I can't really explain everybody you chipped in there.
The most important hacks, like the thing is, like, you maybe are we equaling quirks and curse energy? Maybe if we do that, maybe, you know, like Angel or Yuta could be useful with Jacob's Ladder. But realistically, the only hacks that matters is Infinity itself, if All for One isn't an elite spatial quirk that. You Unlimited Void specifically. Not any of the rest of Limitless. The rest of Limitless doesn't matter. It's way too weak. And SSK. That's it. Every other hacks is irrelevant. Hikari's Immortality, irrelevant. You do soul damage, irrelevant. He may be able to make some quirks rebel if he lands a hit, but he's never landing a hit, so irrelevant. Takuba has the Comedian, which is like reality warping, which could work. Really depends on how All for One interacts with that, though. So it could be irrelevant, but that's like the 4th most relevant hacks. But like everything else doesn't matter. The rest of Yuta's kit doesn't matter. Rika doesn't matter. Kashimo's EM waves don't matter. His hacks don't. His lightning bolt won't. There's not enough. It won't do enough damage, man. It doesn't matter. Like so much of the hacks don't matter. So I don't blame Kosu for not going over all of them. It's really just Maki's SSK, UV, Infinity, and the Comedian. That's it. Nothing else matters. That's it.
Man, I'm gonna see, like in that video, I'm gonna throw a chart of all the people that did, but I'm going to be focused on the main people. So to begin, we have Gojo, and Gojo obviously has Infinity. He has his red, blue, and he also has his domain expansion, and they are pretty easy to explain. Now, while Infinity can technically be penetrated in theory, in this video I'm going to keep it as something that is just a permanent barrier. Now, red repels while blue pulls things in.
He's gonna keep it as a barrier. If Kosu grants the spatial quirk, it's over. If he doesn't, could be a UV diff. Could be. We'll see.
Then you mix them together. That is when you get Hollow Purple.
Doesn't matter.
And it's just the perfect mix between the two of them. Gojo's domain expansion is just basically inputting information in your brain. Now, the way this domain expansion is explained is essentially your brain gets overloaded with so much information that you don't actually get past the first thing you're thinking about. I know there's this thing where people believe that, oh, it's just an infinite amount of information inside the universe getting put into your brain. No, it's because Gojo's technique, well, not his technique, but Infinity works as like, oh, it's like a barrier, not a barrier, but something that slows you down to the point where it's just like, it seems like you're not moving. His domain expansion is kind of similar to this, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like, it keeps you in the exact same place. Like, it doesn't allow your brain to continuously move forward, if that makes sense. That makes sense? That makes sense. Next, we have Yuji.
Essentially, it's just like overlaying information, right? Like the example that's commonly used is like if the word apple were to be put in your head, you'd be like like essentially just think of like hard stopping the computer that is your brain, because your brain is essentially a computer, right? That's low-key, we've modeled computers after our own heads and how they function. So imagine if you're just a key on your keyboard got stuck, and then you just couldn't unstick it. No matter what, you're A-ing. So that's why it's the only useful thing against All for One, because that's actually a hacks. Red, blue, purple, they're all just power flexes. They're not that strong beyond their verse. They don't have any unique hacks. Not even purple. I know some people say purple erases matter. It's imaginary mass. Not really. If that were the case, it'd be a lot more lethal to Sukuna, unless you think Sukuna has a existence erasure resistance, which most people don't. So like, none of Gojo's hacks matter except for Infinity, if it's allowed to work properly, and UV. UD doesn't matter at all, too. Like, once again, he's never landing a hit, so even his soul disruption thing wouldn't work. Like, the barrier between All for One, like, all his quirks, like, it won't matter. Let's see.
And Yuji's soul technique will not be used here. Why? Because this is All for One's body, and All for One doesn't take the souls of the people that he takes the quirks from.
That's actually kind of debatable. Like, you could argue quirk factors are meant to be like a stand-in for souls. But I get what he means here. In that case, yeah, UG's worthless. But I would, like, if I were equalizing stats, although it still wouldn't really matter. All for One is way too big for Yuji. But like, if I were equalizing stats, I would be generous and be like, you know what, it's close enough. Multiple spirits slash souls slash things. Because quirk factors is all. I still really don't like the way MHA went down with this power system. I'll be completely honest. But technically, they're souls if you squinted them the right way. And notably, you don't even have to squint that hard. That's how I would describe like the soul stuff, the soul versus quirk factors of an MHA. Like, it's clearly meant to be souls, just that Hori doesn't say they're souls. So like, I'd say like soul interaction messes with All for One. But that's it.
It's just their quirk. But he does have piercing blood. He does have RCT, and he does have his domain expansion.
I mean, you may be, but like, is All for One susceptible to poison? Maybe. He probably doesn't have a poison resistant quirk. But at the same time, Yuji's blood manipulation attacks are never doing enough damage to actually break All for One's skin and hamper him with poison. So like, doesn't matter. Let's see.
Then we have Yuta. Yuta has all of his techniques, so copy, Rika, and to those who think Rika is a cursed technique of Yuta's, no, she's not. I don't know why that's a popular thing now, but no, she's not.
Well, like in a data book, she's like really described as Yuta's cursed technique, so I don't blame people for that. But like, she's an external storage linked to his curse technique because she holds all the data. She's like a thumb drive. The thumb drive isn't your computer or the storage on your computer, but like it feeds into your computer. Same thing with Rika. Let's say
his domain expansion, RCT, and just the countless things that he has taken from people, because this is at the end of his fight as well. So he has a lot of things. Also, one thing,
none of them matter though, unfortunately. Unless you grant Jacob's Ladder, also canceling out quirks, and none of it matters. But even then, like, All for One should just be so physically strong. Well, actually, maybe not physically strong. So, like you could argue JL if you equal quirks and curse techniques. Like, then maybe All for One dies. But like, that's such a that's a big equivalency to grant. But at the same time, I guess you have to give All for One curse energy anyway, so he can even be affected by domains. So like, there's that. So I don't know. We'll see.
The thing that a lot of people do not mention is the fact that he has piercing blood. Will it be useful here?
I don't think he has it. I know why he says he thinks he has it, but like, or like, I'm assuming he says the reason he has piercing blood is because he ate Yuji's fingers. But I don't think Yuji had eaten his siblings at the time. I think he had taken the fingers very early on before that. Because he doesn't... Well, then again, maybe he has it. But I doubt it, because we just never see it. I'm very much if we don't see it, it's not there kind of guy. Even though I get why he says Yuta has piercing blood. It doesn't matter. Once again, it's not enough. It's not APY. It's not enough. And notably, Yuta's regeneration is never noted to actually use BM. But at the same time, he only has to use his regeneration like in domain. And outside of domain, he's using his regular RCD. So, I don't know. I don't think he has it, but... Whatever, doesn't matter.
We don't know, but that's something to also mention. And obviously he has his infinite cursed energy mode. Also, he does have basketball domain, and if he does need to, he can obviously switch bodies. Those are like the main ones that you do need to bring up. Then we have Maki, who has a soul split katana, meaning that it doesn't matter what form.
That's the one other hacks that another character has that matters, other than comedian. What's it?
Wants to do, she is cutting him. And she also has a fully realized heavenly restriction.
Doesn't matter.
Then we have Hikari, and in his domain he has infinite cursed energy, so he...
Not in his domain as a result of his domain, but like close enough. He basically is immortal kind of inside his domain with rerolls, but even then, he could die in there. But let's say, he can even die out of domain. Atomize his body, he'll die. But let's say,
basically be immortal to a certain extent. Following up on Hikari, we have Higuruma, whose domain...
Once again, how Higuruma would work is also weird. Would he take all for one, as in the whole quirk, if we're equalizing quirks and curse techniques? Or would he take one of all for one's quirks? Unknown? Would it be the quirk he used in a specific crime? Unknown? Like I don't know, if it takes all for one, if we're equalizing quirks and curse energy, then maybe that's another win con. But once again, all for one has to be slow and stupid enough to do that. And all for one is very stupid, but like with a month of prep time, the same prep time that Sukuna had, he would know about it and probably not want to risk it. He just kill Higuruma. He kills everybody. That's the thing. He hasn't gone into all for one scaling because I think it still makes it a massacre. So let's say
you can strip anything away from anyone and then give him the executioner's sword that can...
Okay, that isn't true. But once again, we're glazing real fast. We're not gonna blame Kosu for, sliding over stuff. That's not how that works, but still.
Unsure anything if landed. It will just take away their life. But that only occurs if you get a death penalty. Yeah. Then we have Takaba.
Oh, okay. That's where
he finds the joke funny. Then he can also materialize the domain. and put you through a series of events. Whilst this wouldn't kill you, as he would never kill you, it would weaken you, since you just disorientate you, then allow somebody to never follow up on them. Then we have Kashimo, who can use lightning and electromagnetic.
Usually, like, once again, Taco's really slow. It's like, will the comedian even activate in time to save his life? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you pull like a, man, I'm glad I'm not that guy, when his original body gets destroyed. But I don't know, we'll see. Kashimo also kind of silly, kind of funny, but like, I just don't think it's enough. None of his attacks are Duraneg, unless you think the lightning bolt is Duraneg, so like, it doesn't matter, he doesn't have the AP.
Waves, and through this, you can say that he's light speed, and I will say this for the video, Burst Curse technique does kill him. Then we have people like Kosu.
But like, notably, I wouldn't say Kashimo's technique makes him light speed. I'd say he has light speed attacks, but here or there, doesn't matter.
We'll say this for the video, Burst Curse technique does kill him. Then we have people like Usukabe, Choso, Miguel, Todo, Uru, Mayman, Angel, and just more. Now, all of them do have curse energy. With that, it allows you to then use your technique. And we also have binding vows, RCTs that can help with burnout, heal them, simple domain, which can negate attacks, domain amplification, which is mainly used to neutralize curse techniques, which obviously will be used here, and domain expansion, which is your innate domain visualized, and it usually gives a user a buff or some sort of special ability that can do some great damage of some sort. Additionally, we do have black flashes, and anybody's privy to this. This phenomenon usually occurs when you're seriously locked in. Currently, Yuji holds the most amount of black flashes in the series, but Gojo is also up there, and it just seems like people who lock into fights way more than others aren't able to get this. So they better be locked into this. Now, this can obviously be pretty OP, as Gojo literally knocked out Sukuna while doing this, so
he didn't, mainly because like the technique didn't turn off. And typically whenever someone passes out, a technique dispels. We see this with Higuruma. Higuruma didn't die, he was incapacitated, so his technique vanished. The Tenchao's technique was still active. It did in fact turn on, so Sukuna wasn't knocked out, he was just reeling from pain. We've seen characters get whited out before and not be knocked out. And notably, Sukuna is still standing. So unless you think he fell asleep standing, which is possible, but not impossible, or what is it possible but not very likely, he was conscious, just had his eyes whited out, which was more so for a dramatic effect rather than Sukuna actually being knocked out. Mainly because the wheel is active still. That's how I view it, though. If Sukuna ever actually went to sleep, I'm pretty sure the technique would turn off. But then again, Gojo seemingly keeps Infinity on when he's tired, so I don't know. Maybe it's different, but I personally don't think Sukuna's knocked out. I used to think so, but then like someone just broke that logic down to me. I was like, oh, probably not. Let's see. Because like also, like, what do you think woke him up? Do you think like Mahoraga dragged him into the shadows, or like he just fell into them automatically? No, that needs to be like active technique usage. So I don't think he was ever knocked out, because he immediately goes into the shadows after Mahoraga falls. But regardless, still doesn't matter. Like I stayed silent throughout the entire Black Flash section because it doesn't matter. It's not enough. Like unless you take the exponential multiplier, like if you do exponentially multiply city level by city level, it actually does get pretty high, like just in terms of the sheer joules of it all. But I still don't think it's high enough. Maybe like you get like star level, but obviously JJK characters on star level. Like we're not going that far. Black Flash isn't actually a 2.5 times exponential multiplier, or else the verse would be way stronger, which it isn't. Let's see. Oh, why is it muted? Why is it muted?
We also have Cursed, who you're hit by, it can actually do some real damage. We also have Cursed tools, but Yuta has control over it, and there aren't really any that are too important, aside from the Soul Split Katana. Yep. So with that being said, I feel like I've gone through everything we need to go over, so how about you hop into All for One scaling? Now for All for One, his scaling can vary, as we'll be using all of his forms, meaning the form from the start of the war where he originally fought Endeavor, to then the one at the end where he then died to Bakugo as a baby. Now at the start, he's around city to mountain level in terms of AP due to All Might scaling.
That's it. And it's over. City to mountain. City to mountain. Mountain. We put him in mountain. That's it. That's it. That's wraps. If only Gojo's city level, that's wraps. It's over. It's over. What's better than the ball over? He's clapping cheeks. Do you know how big the gap between city and mountain level is? Do you not? Is it hard for you to conceptualize? We'll go with large city level. You want to know how big the gap between large city level plus and just regular mountain is? Think of New York City. How big that thing is. Now think of the smallest mountain and realize you could fit multiple New York cities inside and around on top of a mountain. Like, mountains that are coming to mind are, like, the big ones. Like, Mount Everest, that's, like, a large mountain plus feet. Kilimanjaro, also a large mountain plus feet. But, like, even just, like, the average mountain would be way, like, levels upon levels upon levels above city level. So, and notably, this is, like, the lowest end. Mountain level is the lowest end. Let's see how much higher he goes.
Humans change the weather, and this All For One is around that level in terms of power, as they did find Kamino and was pushing him about. Now in his prime form, he should scale to around prime All Might. Yeah. So large island level to country level is very comfortable, and I doubt anybody's going to complain, as All Might, who changed the weather, is 60 times weaker than who he is in his prime. And All For One was...
So we aren't going to the insane stuff. Like, we aren't talking about, like, Endeavor and Dabi and Todoroki's feat, where they, like, call it, like, a multi-continental. Like, we aren't going into that, but you don't need to. Getting him to those country levels, if you're not putting JJK there through, like, the Chogo data book statement, or, like, just, like, insane wank. Like, it's still too much. Unfortunately, it's still too much for a verse that's, like, large town to city. It's just too much. It's too much. We haven't even got to speed yet. He's already talking about how... Because we know everyone gets one shot by Gojo, right? Like, everyone on the Shinjuku crew gets one shot by Gojo. Yeah. Think of All For One as, like, a Gojo that's 60 times stronger than Gojo. They all instantly die. Except for Gojo. And then he'll die 2 seconds later to a spatial quirk. That's it.
Able to go toe to toe and permanently scar that All Might. Then there's younger forms. They're just a little bit weaker than his prime one. But I don't think they get as weak as the one in Kamino. And the reason I say this is because he mainly loses most of the fights, or doesn't lose, but gets younger due to his pride. When he locks in though, he takes basically everybody out with ease. So I'm gonna place him at city level at a harsh push, but at the max he'll be country level. Moving on, we have his speed, and at a bare minimum, he is FEO plus, as yes,
there it is! And it's over! And it's over! And it's wrapped! It's wraps. It's over. There, I knew it! What did I say? I knew the second. I could feel it in my bones! Oh my word, I need a cut! But I could feel it in my bones! He was gonna use the Ayama stuff and then just upscale from that. The second he said, Gojo's FTL plus. I knew it, dog. It's over. My body lets me reflect light. There we go. That's it. And Ayama's laser is light. They're talking about light. Now they to the atomic level. Yep. That's it. It's wraps. I think maybe that's what I was thinking of the mid, but I was still thinking of just Aoyama in general. So yeah, it's over. It's wraps. It's wraps. It's easy. It is over. But yeah. I mean, like, I think everybody knows. You can't throw JJK against MHA. You can't throw JJK against SDS. You can't throw JJK against any of the big three. You can't throw it against you can't throw it against anybody. JJK's a weak verse. Like, it's unfortunate. Like, as much as I love the verse, and as much as I love talking about it, it's a weak verse. It's a real, like so weak. Like, you could throw the entire verse up against season 1 Meliodas, and it's over. You throw the entire verse up against, like, any like, really, a majority of the verse dies to, like, MHA mid tiers. Not to talk of the top and god tiers. Even, like I said, I've said many times before, Demon Slayer gives the verse a bunch of run for its money, depending on how you scale its AP versus how you don't. It's just bad. It is bad for JJK. Booty buns behind verse in terms of scaling. He's whack, but that's it.
Multiple occasions, Aoyama's light has been compared to real light and is stated as real light, and Mina effortlessly dodged this in the sports festival, and to compare that Mina to All For One is blasphemy.
You could argue, like, this feat is aim dodging, and that's fine. Like, that's the main thing, right? Like, aim dodging versus, like, actually dodging something is a lot different. Like, typically, like, we would need, like, a panel. Well, essentially, we would need, like, the Sugata panel, right? Where the beam that is light speed is already in motion, and then a character speaks or reacts or does something before that can reach them. This technically is an aim dodge, right? But then we do have this right here. You could also argue it's an aim dodge, but 13 does lift their hand up, flick their thing out, and then slurp in light. So, like, it is, like, it's bad. MHA is a really, like, it's one of the most contentious verses to get really, really fast. But when you do this early stuff, it is one of those verses that just gets faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. It's like very much it's like Seven Deadly Sins in that way, where they're like, Gother has light speed attacks in season 1. And it just gets faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. And like it just keeps going and going and going. Fodder goddesses wield light or arc, which is light particles, which is light. Like it's and then it just gets faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. Ludishell's actually a downscale depending on where you want to start scaling some of these season characters' light speed. Same thing for MHA, where like Shigaraki and Stars and Stripes and her team, like they're actually downscale. If you want to start using them instead, you can get real high, and we're getting real high. But let's see.
All for One is an unquantifiable amount of times stronger than her.
Like, at least
seriously, it's a massive,
at least
massive
1,000,
margin.
really.
So yeah, FTO plus to MFTO is probably where I'm gonna put him at.
Why did I knew we were getting to MFTL AFO. I knew it. Let's see.
For this video, and MFTO is probably where I want to set that.
Yep.
Next is his durability, and yeah, he should be definitely around his AP level, as he does take shots from All Might and Endeavor when he's weakened. Bakugo as well, but in his prime he was taking punches from All Might. So yeah, he's definitely either city level or country level. Endurance wise, he literally
it's great. We're high raising it for, well, I guess he doesn't want to be too over, but giving him MFTL is too overkill. But we are high playing MHA speed a bit, but we actually we kind of low and slow playing the AP. We are maybe because I'm just so used to hearing much high. Like I've heard planetary MHA stuff that like if I squint at it does kind of make sense. Like multi-cont is another thing I've heard a bunch from like from the storm calcs and stuff like that. Like things that they created through shipping weather. Like there's actually a lot. There's a lot higher than like city to country. Or city to country or mountain to country. But obviously the gap between city and country is also massive. We've gone over this in other reaction videos too. Like the gaps are still huge regardless of how you put them. Let's see.
Takes on many top heroes and group attacks from all the heroes. He takes attacks from everybody and survives a bunch of it, and also has rewind. So yeah. Then we have his battle IQ, and he can be actually smart in battle.
Or stupid.
Even though he does come across as an arrogant idiot, no, he's pretty smart sometimes. But he likes to use his quirks to his advantage and is very, very likely to get cocky. That is why he does come across as a bit of an idiot sometimes when he is fighting. Finally, we have his hacks. And bro, do you know how many quirks this man has stolen over his 100 years tyranny? Like genuinely, you see that massive thing he created versus Bakugo? That isn't even all of his quirks, as he likes to say. He has many quirks that, if important, I'll say in the battle. But the main one for All for One is probably just the All for One quirk, which is useless here. Then we have Rewind, which is his trump card here, as they don't know about it, but can also be a detriment. And that's really about it. If there are any other ones, I'll probably just say in the battle. So I feel like I've said all I need to say about both sides.
Based on how he skilled both, All for One slams them all. He's gonna bring up the special quirk to kill Gojo, and that's it. Battles wraps. You cannot throw an MFTL character up against lightning timers and one FTL character and expect it to be a fair fight. Well, like, no one clicks on this video and expects this fight to be fair. Not even me. I was ready. Like, you heard me in the intro. You heard me. Like we all knew this was gonna be a massacre. That's fine. That's fine. Sometimes, a lot of times, we do need a good massacre. In this case, woo, this is a good massacre. Let's say.
So how about we hop straight into the versus battle? Firing off a hollow purple at All for One, Gojo approaches him, and All for One has easily blocked it.
Yeah.
Now All for One has been waiting for Gojo, and he knows that Gojo is going to be a good fight.
Okay, so we're going for a more narrative version. All right, that explains why there's so much time left in the video. Let's see.
Also, he thinks. Now, when he obviously goes over to Gojo, he blitzes Gojo, but because Gojo's Infinity is up, he can't do anything. Now, he does know about Gojo's Infinity and knows how to get around it, but Gojo also knows this as well. So essentially, they're just boxing. And an All For One's tactic is just to use quirks that can affect Gojo's surroundings instead of trying to attack Gojo himself. Now, with that happening, Gojo is trying to land blows on him, but he's realizing that All For One is just a little bit too quick. Now, unlike in canon, the rest of the squad isn't going to sit still. And so, Todo gets on the roof, and he's teleporting around, and All For One picks up on this slightly but doesn't think anything too much of it, as well, there's only like a few other people that could possibly do anything, but he doesn't really care. So they keep teleporting around until he's tagged by Higuruma, and then his domain is popped. With Higuruma's domain active, he already knows what it does, so he pledges guilty. And the Executioner Sword comes out, and a quirk is taken. Now, if I really wanted to be evil, I could say a random quirk is taken, but because I'm nice, I'm going to say Rewind was taken. So, they all leave the domain.
Okay. I mean, you know what? Let me put on my silly little glasses here and push them up. Actually, All For One didn't have Rewind. I see. Maybe I think he should have clarified it better. Maybe because he says a random quirk and then he says Rewind was taken. Rewind was like a little capsule that he injected into himself in order to activate Rewind himself. All For One doesn't have Ares quirk. That was never a thing. He has like an altered version of it that allows him to access Rewind under very specific conditions that he was reluctant to use. But what I'm assuming Kosu means here, right? Just to give the benefit of the doubt, and like Kosu knows what he's talking about, so I'm not gonna assume that this is one thing or another. So I'm assuming it's like this. He says Rewind gets taken away because Rewind is an extra supplement, right? Like that's what gets taken away because it's something that All For One has on his person. Like you could argue if because he's showing clips of like young All For One, but like for example, assuming they're fighting old masked All For One, like the mask would get taken away or something because it's just an extra piece. It's a weapon. It's a tool technically. So Rewind is a tool, so it gets taken away. When realistically, if we are truly equalizing quirks and cursed energy, All For One should be taken away. Because the Rewind capsule is like a pill. It's not really a weapon. At least not in the traditional sense, something like Kamutoke the cursed tool is. But you could argue it still counts because it like contains a quirk factor, and quirk factors are cursed techniques in this case. Like you could argue Rewind gets taken away, but it's really depending on the trial that All For One gets put into. All For One would be taken away. At least under my understanding of it. But because clearly we're equalizing, we're giving All For One cursed energy for allow the battle to function. But still, at the same time, I don't know why Gojo isn't immediately UVing once he's getting blitzed. I mean, I get it narratively, why? Like, we need this video to go on longer. But, like, Gojo's gonna immediately UV. And if All For One's being stupid enough to let this go on for so long, then he's going to lose to UV plus SSK to the dome. Over and over and over and over and over again. Like, that's it. Because obviously Gojo's not gonna be able to do any damage to him. Without anything but UV, so I'm not sure why Gojo's boxing here. And it's not like AFO has a counter domain. And it'll be Gojo once he figures out something isn't working. He goes for domain in, like, the second chapter of the fight. So, like, I don't know why he's not domaining. I don't know why. I mean, it's fine. It's more interesting this way. Let's see.
And All For One actually knows this, but they don't. Because remember, they didn't know what was taken from Sukuna until they realized that, oh, his little weapon isn't there. Okay. So they continue fighting. And Gojo doesn't really know what was taken, but he decides to gamble here. So as he does the hand sign, All For One rushes over to him and grabs him. Gojo is a little bit scared here as well. He thought he had enough time, but the thing is that he's been underestimating All For One's speed. See, he thought that he could cast his hand sign and then stop him and then have Higuruma go over there and tag him. But no, he wasn't quick enough. So All For One goes over there and pops his head. And this All For One is actually being cautious now, as he knows that if he makes a mistake...
Now, here's the thing, right? I know what Kosu means. I think Kosu is kind of like, he's going a little bit too on the idea that we know that All For One has a spatial manipulation quirk. I think he's going a little bit too confident on that. Because if you don't know that, like say you're a JJK fan watching this video and you know nothing about MHA, or you don't remember the one very specific spatial quirk that All For One has that should interact with Infinity in this way, this shouldn't be possible. This shouldn't, because like All For One, unless you go with the idea that, well, MFTL thing should be able to breach infinity, which she didn't explain, but that is an argument. I don't personally agree with that argument, just because of like how the Achilles tortoise and paradox works. Like, it doesn't really matter how fast you go. But regardless, even if you're going with that argument, what the scenario where Kosu describes, where All For One blitzes Gojo, grabs his wrist as he goes to the domain, and then booms his dome with the other hand, you need to mention that he has a spatial manipulation quirk that folds space that allows him to do that. You can't just say he goes and grabs them, because then what happened to infinity? So like that's a little iffy. But once again, I do think All For One would be Gojo with that space quirk. But I hope he at least mentions the space quirk. If he really just said, let me take these off. These are blue light glasses, like I should wear them, but no, I don't like wearing my glasses anymore, despite them being an iconic part of my avatar at this point. But still, I think Kosu should explain that. So let's see if he does it. If he doesn't go, I'm gonna put that as a little blight on the video. If he doesn't explain that All For One has spatial manipulation quirk, he never showed the panel for it or anything. He just says All For One has a quirk that bypasses infinity, which I think he does. I'm pretty sure that spatial manipulation quirk is real, but not showing it to us when that's like the whole crux of him beating Gojo and preventing the one win con. That's a little. Let's see.
It's over with. He has no rewind. So if Gojo's head going pop, his little basketball domain shatters, and out comes All For One with Gojo.
But see, wait, which is it? Which is it? Because it can't be both. Kosu, my friend. Well, the Nigerian accent, let me almost left that. But it can't be both. If All For One's in the domain and he has curse energy to be affected by domains in the first place, he's cooked. He's fried. You can't say the domain got off, but then All For One's able to move in the domain. That also doesn't make sense. All For One would be affected by UV if he's allowed to be affected by domains at all. I prefer see this is now multiple issues. They talk about how he didn't mention All For One having a special quirk that allowed him to transcend infinity in the first place. But on top of that, he's now saying the domain did get off, but the sure hit wasn't activated, I guess. That's weird and dumb and not how that works. Or at least for UV. Like, we know you can turn on a domain and not fully activate the sure hit. We've seen this with Jogo. But, like, that's a little. I don't know. Once again, I'm fine. Like, the scaling is fine. I think Gojo would lose to All For One. I think that's fine. But just explaining it poorly. And the way he's progressing this narrative. But now the battle's over. Like, nothing else. Like, unfortunately, once you kill Gojo, it's over. All For One blitzes and one taps everybody. The end. So I don't know. Let's see. Because the video's not over. We still got 5 minutes or like 4 minutes. So let's say.
Blood raining everywhere. This is where Higuruma tries to attack him, but he is easily dismantled and taken down. And Todo is forced to retreat and bring everyone else back with Yui. Now Kashimo goes in first as well. He wants a piece of it. And he's torched. He gets absolutely torched. So then the rest of them try to come in. Yuta tries to tactically go around with him and Rika and try to attack All For One. He tries to cast his domain. Akari tries to cast his. It's all a big mess. Now obviously Akari goes first, as that then gives him infinite cursed energy and allows him to then fight. But All For One doesn't give him the chance to even get his gambles up. So that's him gone too. Then Maki tries. She's gone. Itadori tries to come in. He's gone. And Yuta is trying, but he's gone too. Choso, gone. All of them just get dealt with instantly as they just can't handle the speed. Even if All For One technically here is closer to them, you gotta remember, All For One here is stronger than Gojo, which means he is also privy to be stronger than Sukuna. The Sukuna they fought.
Okay, he said the Sukuna they fought. I was about to say, wait. Well, it's like, yeah, this is it. It's a one shot, one dip massacre. It's hard, and like it's fun to write one sided stomps a little bit, but it is also it's hard to like drag them out or really say everyone just gets one tap. That's the thing. But admittedly, now since he did not clarify, he did not show anything with the special quirk panel. I think that doesn't matter, right? Like this could sound harsh. That's a bad point in the video. You gotta explain that better. You can't say, especially with the domain popped off but it didn't pop off. Like, I don't know, since that's basically the core of the fight that you established, glazing over it like that and not at all explaining how All For One bypassed Infinity when that would be the entire crux of the battle between Gojo and All For One. Not around here, partner. Not around here. I get it. And once again, I don't disagree. You're just hearing me be like, you could have explained that better. You could have not explained it better. Explain it at all. Because, like, what he said doesn't even make sense. It was kind of like, it was like the earlier point when he was explaining the rules, and I was like, what you said doesn't really compute. And what he just said here with Gojo doesn't really compute. But everyone else getting one tap? Yeah, that makes sense. It's fine. That's how it should go. Let's see.
So, we know that if Sukuna wasn't holding back, he would have popped them all easily. And with All For One having a larger strength gap, there is no way for them to get this off. And you know what's so funny? Even if, let's say for instance, they try to do a technique where, I don't know, maybe Yuji or Choso or somebody spat their piercing blood out. You do realize that, number one, All For One could ingest it, then just spurt out of his body, as he can do that for some reason. And then they're all pinned to the ground. Even like, okay, you gotta understand that even if they do get something off, All For One can just get a piece of their blood, then they're just on the ground and they're stuck. There's no way of getting out of it. Now there's way too many ways that All For One can get around it. He can make barriers. He can like use radio. Like he has way too many ways of attacking him. All For One is like worse, like a way worse nightmare than Sukuna. And even though they do know about the majority of his quirks, they don't know about Blood Curdle. They know about the one that can reject the blood. They don't know about Rewind, which they are lucky to even get, since they thought that, or Gojo thought that he took away All For One, and that's what All For One allowed him to think. Yeah, this is a one-sided fight. It's completely one-sided. And that is me being nice. What if he just took a random quirk? Like, let's say for instance he took the Spike quirk and he still has Rewind. All For One would have been cocky. I think All For One would have allowed himself to get hit by the Unlimited Void.
But see, okay, so you bring it back up, but you gotta explain how he was able to circumvent it, or how he resisted it. That's the thing. You said it happened, but now let's go.
Just to like get rid of the Executioner's Sword and then Rewind into his prime form, and there's no way anything would be able to do anything. Gojo would probably have tried to hit him again with a Unlimited Void, and that would have failed. So yeah.
But why would it fail? See, that's the thing. You don't explain why Unlimited Void wouldn't work. That I don't get. Because here's the thing, right? I agree. All For One should win if he's not stupid, and he just blitzes and one-taps everybody. And with prep time, he should know Gojo has Infinity and should just spatial quirk him out of existence. Fine. I'm cool with that. You don't explain that he has a spatial quirk. Don't even show the panel, which would be the only way he has to transcend Infinity, mind you. It's like, that's the only way he could do it. He can't just grab Gojo. That's not how that works. But, you don't do that. You don't explain how he's able to resist the Limited Void, though apparently it would fail, or you just resist it? How? You may be like, well, the quirk factor soul thing that you mentioned earlier. We'll go pencil. Like that's why it would fail. No, it wouldn't. Remember, Unlimited Void targets everything inside it. All those other souls inside All For One would also just get hit with the infinite information. Or the A. The first letter of the alphabet. Repeated forever. They would all just be stun locked into a Maki. That's it. So like that wouldn't work. So it's like he doesn't have any resistance to that specific type of mental manipulation. So like I think that's the only thing. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't say, oh, well, he just resists it without giving any argument for why. Obviously, he resists it by stopping it from happening if he immediately blitzes and pops Gojo's head, but he didn't describe it that way. He said Gojo gets it off, but All For One ignores it and pops his head anyway. Okay? like I don't know. It's very much like I feel like a math teacher, and funnily enough, I did this all the time to my math teachers, where like I've reached the conclusion, or no, Kosu reached the conclusion that is correct. But how he got there? Like whenever I would solve a problem in math class, and the math teacher would look and be like, I mean, you're right. This is not how I taught you. This is not how this works at all. But you got the right answer. Somehow. And be like, okay. So I agree. All For One wins. It's a massacre. It's a stomp. It's just explained a bit poorly. Specifically for the Gojo aspect. Obviously, All For One one-shots everybody else. Like, that's not content. I'm not gonna argue that. But, like, the Gojo part, the most important part of the video and the fight, you kind of glaze over like it's not the most important part of the video or the fight. And like it's not their only win con. He doesn't even bring up Takaba. Like, he doesn't even mention him. He brought him up, like, earlier, but doesn't even go over him. And to be fair, I'm not sure Takaba would be that effective against All For One. I don't think he's ever going to wear All For One down enough where he could actually die to anybody. But you should have at least mentioned him. Because the video's over, right? Yeah, like, they're less than a minute.
This is an easy victory for All For One. And so with that being said, that's the end of the video. I really enjoy making this video, as making My Hero Crossverse content will always be one of my favorites. And so if you guys want to see another versus battle like this, you know what to do.
Kosu, I need you to do MHA versus Seven Deadly Sins, please. I'm not sure if he knows Seven Deadly Sins, but I need you to do it, Kosu, please. I'm begging you, because there's so little Seven Deadly Sins Crossverse content. You'd be like, hey, Pencil, isn't that your fault? Yes, I'll make some. Don't worry. But still, that's what I need next for MHA Crossverse. Let's see.
Hit the like button and subscribe, and tell me who you want to see. Maybe I'll put Bakugo up against Sukuna, or Bakugo against somebody that's meant to be kind of fun.
Yeah. Put him up against Gojo. He then loses. But still, let's see.
So yeah. All for one. But yeah. I shall see you guys in the next video. I love you all. Good. Bye.
Alright. Let's check out Michelle. Oh man, see if I do anything about One Piece. Oh man, that's such a cool thing. But you know what time it is? New feature to the end of the reaction videos. I'm going to leave a commento. W video. I think the whole Gojo section where he somehow just gets grabbed is crazy. Gets grabbed by AFO inside his own domain is pretty wacky, and it's not how that works. Wacky and not how that works. No spatial quirk mention hurts my soul. No spatial quirk mention hurts my soul. But I agree. I agree. Anyway, please do any MHA versus Seven Deadly Sins versus battles. Would love to see it. All right, let me make sure that makes sense. W video. I think the whole Gojo section where he somehow just gets grabbed by All For One inside his own domain is pretty wacky, and not how that works. No special quirk mention hurts my soul, but I agree anyway. Please do MHA versus Deadly Sins versus battles. I'd love to see it. All right, there we go. Comment. Yay. And I really like the video. So overall, let me grab the Blade of Judgment. Hold up. That was so weak. But W video still. Like I said, it was a little poorly explained. You can tell like he didn't take it all too seriously, which is fine. I don't blame him. Like this is like most people know this is a curse on matchup. I'm glad he at least threw Gojo in there. I just think he took Gojo out of the fight a little bit too quickly, a little too awkwardly. But hey, you know, we take those. But overall, a W video. If you made it all the way to the end of this video though, please do me a favor and leave. I'm sorry. Why is that coming down? That imposter in my all for Gojo. Because that's basically all this battle is. It's Gojo versus All For One plus a bunch of randoms. But leave all for Gojo in the comment section down below. Other thing is, once you're watching, remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that the little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, you need to have a Patreon down below. You can support me for as low as $1 a month. The links to exclusive videos, early content, and more. Also, now become a member to the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same. Well, member to the main channel. That guy with the pencil. That you go to member to that channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. And also, when you become a member, you get your name at the end of every single video. You'll get early access and ad-free access to literally all videos I produce, exclusive content over there like my live reactions. And I think I don't know, I'm debating back and forth on whether I want to do like quick reviews for patrons and members exclusively, because I still do read other series. I'd love to still cover them, but like, just take time out. I'll see. But you do get exclusive content by becoming a patron or member. $3 patrons and above, or $3 members and above, they get their name said aloud, not just listed at the end of every single video. And also, if you just want to request a one-time video, like I'm doing a whole bunch of reaction videos right now for this channel. Obviously, it's that guy the reaction, but at the same time, I want to request a certain video to be reacted to, that a full-length one like this, 25 beans to the Ko-Fi for the one time, or 5 beans to the Ko-Fi for a shorter video. Like, I'm talking like 2 to 3 minute video. But there we go. Well, thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Back with the Reaction, cutting off. I'd like to give a thank you to our sketch tier members: Eternal Flame, Red Wolf 4765, Astro, Glacier XZ, Zera, Brandon Payne, J2MA, Guillaume, Buddha Ura, Enzo, Swift Strike, Super Flame Zero, Yuki Ally, Azo2404, Strika Man, Grim, Straw, Ollie, The Boy, Corey Watson, Damon Brown, Magic, CCC, Ramondo Furen, Cree Panem, Seraphiel, Dino, Axis XC, Plant Crone, Pickle, Heath Nelson, Hector Gonzalez, P Sub, Black Sage, Zapro, Tim Thomas, Alex Kenny, Kaving, Julian Perez, 8 Soe, Akolade Babatunde, Union I, Oryx N, Nevis 97, Sheesh King, Logan Guzman, Karina Hernandez, Window Life, and Dead Me. Then, like to give a thank you to our Line Art Tier patrons: A+A, Kevin Encarnacion, Sean, Midnight Lord 21, Dread Zoan, and Alyssa Pujanos. Then, like to give a thank you to our Ink Tier members: King RTX and Shrimpo the 4 Shrimp 06. Like to give a thank you to our Digital Art Tier members: J Warrior and AZ Void. Like to give a final thank you to our Colored Art Tier patrons: Walkie Benos and Walkie Munoz.